Good evening, folks, and welcome to the 6 o'clock news on SBYnews.com. This is our special edition where we're interviewing different candidates throughout the state. With me is Delegate Rudy Cane. Welcome aboard, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Glad to have you here, and we appreciate you taking the time to come in. Rudy, why are you running again?
First, I love people.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that I think that needs to be done that I've not been able to complete, and that's one of the reasons I want to run again.
Okay, great. And why should the voters support you versus your opponents?
Well, I have experience.
That you do.
When you go into the legislature, you cannot go in immediately in leadership. With my experience with leadership, it means I can go in and begin to work immediately for the benefits of my constituents
Okay.
and the state of Maryland.
How many years have you been in?
The 12 years.
12 years. Okay, good. Under the current administration, Maryland taxpayers received the largest tax increase in history. How do you believe the governor and the legislature should attack Maryland's current fiscal situation?
Now, I have to disagree with you, the largest tax increase in history. We had tax increase larger than any any Democrat governor for over 36 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened when we had the Republican governor in, he raised tax, but it was called fees.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both three-letter words,
Okay.
and it takes from our pockets.
Okay, great. Good point. If elected, wait, where am I going here? Yeah, if elected, will you support the repeal of both the sales tax increase? If so, how would you pay for it?
The state of Maryland operates on taxes from employment and also from sales.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we as citizens expect to receive the same types of services that we've had in the past, it has to be paid for.
Right.
Maryland has two constitutional mandates. And number one is to operate on a balanced budget. Number two is to give our citizens the best possible education that we can. And I think number two, we're working very well because we received recognition for 2 years of being the best educated state in the union.
Mm-hmm.
And if we expect our future to continue, we have to have well-trained citizens through the school system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is more than worthwhile for us to spend the money in education to make sure that the state will constantly progress. If we don't have the taxes, that's the only one way to do it, is to cut down on services. And I think that it's very difficult when you remove a service from your citizens. They're very much unhappy, but you can't get it unless you pay for it.
Right. Kind of like a football team, baseball team, right?
Very much so.
George Steinbrenner was a master at it, paying the most. Under the current administration, we've seen great effort by the state to force Wycomico County to strip farmers of their property rights by taking away many of their development rights. Do you support this? If not, will you commit, if elected or re-elected, to support legislation to get the state government out of local planning decisions and, if need be, eliminate the Maryland Department of Planning?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Loaded question, wasn't it?
No, but I'm telling you up front, I would not do that.
Okay.
Because of the problems that we could be confronted with. Number one, I'm the vice chair of the subcommittee. I'm the chair of the subcommittee for agriculture, land preservation, and open space. We have a major problem. We've been getting substandard foods from abroad.
Mm-hmm.
China has caused us many problems by sending in foods that are not acceptable in this type of government.
Mm-hmm.
We have to protect the rights of the farmers. In the state of Maryland, the largest industry in Maryland is agriculture.
Right.
So I don't want to do anything that would prevent the farmers from having the land that would allow them to provide the foods that's necessary for the state of Maryland and for the universe.
Mhm.
So I would not get rid of planning because planning plays a major role in doing that. If we would open up for development, we would automatically have problems such as a combiner going down the road.
Mhm.
Everybody's complaining about they can only go 20 miles per hour or pass every now and then.
Right, right.
So we have to protect.
Have you ever seen a farmer that didn't try to move over to the side?
No, I haven't.
And I mean, I've never. Every time I've driven down the road, they're very, very courteous.
But as we receive new people in from formal metropolitan areas, they're coming in and they want to change things like it was when they were living under metropolitan conditions,
Mhm.
but yet it's not compatible with farming. So planning plays a major role there,
Okay.
making sure that there's a balance.
Mhm.
We can have food, and yet we would have open space for our children, and at the same time, try to protect the quality of life of the Eastern Shore.
Okay. In your opinion, what are the greatest challenges facing the Lower Shore, and how do you believe you can help solve those problems if reelected?
The Lower Shore has had a major problem in the last few years of losing large industry. We lost Campbell Soup, we lost the Dresser,
Mhm.
and we've lost several other small businesses out in our industrial park. My thing is to try to encourage companies to come in so that our tax base will be large enough that we would not have to depend on, as you mentioned earlier, the millionaire's tax or the pennant additional tax, sales tax. We wouldn't have to depend on that. We would have enough funds to give the services that are needed for our constituency and at the same time keep the tax down. But when you lose those industries, you lose the tax base.
Right, right. So the other topic that I think would be something to consider too is crime here in the Lower Shore.
Crime it's very important for us to eradicate crime. And I think education will help. Because when you educate, when a student enters the school system ready to learn, usually they don't have a problem going through the school system, going into college, and then making a living the conventional way, by
Mhm.
working. For those students who are uneducated, then the money looks good with them for drugs.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
They're not paying taxes with the drug money, so therefore the state doesn't get its share. I did see something the other day that fascinated me on the back of the sheriff's vehicle. This vehicle was purchased with drug money.
That's right, that's right.
Well, that's interesting, but I would rather not have that because of the cost to all of our citizens to maintain someone into the correctional system. It runs about $39,000 to $50,000 for an inmate in our system. And if that individual becomes sick, it can even be greater than that because they're a property of the state.
Right. Were you aware that when ECI releases a prisoner, that they're not allowed to release them? They're contracted with the state that they cannot release them in that county. And these prisoners actually get released from ECI and dropped off at the Christian shelter in Salisbury.
Well, when we first built the center, ECI, we had an agreement, state and the county, that the person should be returned to where they were incarcerated and sentenced.
Right. We have about 30 seconds, so you know.
So that I think that we need to maintain that status.
There you go. Okay. Rudy, I appreciate you taking the time and coming out here. I appreciate your service to the community, the taxpayers. And we wish you the very best in the election.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. We appreciate you coming here. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Thank you.